Looks like we have enough rhetoric for the tale of two chiefs or commanders in chief. And also, it looks like King Gavin Newsom has a reopening date with caveats coming right up. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this Real Under, and I will try to keep it as painless as possible on your Tuesday. And of course, as always, I want to thank you much for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn on your Tuesday. And before we get started, as always, we're going to give a word of thanks to our patrons and viewers like you. And we'll have a Twitch honor roll, and we'll be right back. This show is brought to you in part by our sponsors. Whether you're interested in health, culture, politics, scripture, automobiles, or music, there's something for everyone. So please check out Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Joseph Francis Burton, Paralysis by Analysis, Chrysler Imperial H, Little Miss Goth, AZ Infidel, Cold War Jesus, Anthony Scioli, and Let the Truth Be Told. We'll be right back right after this. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in once again on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And I'm going to do a bit of a Twitch on a roll and I'll get us right into this Real Under. Really appreciate you guys so much for coming in. Thank you guys so much for watching. And for those who are listening, thank you so much. I'll be right back. Thank you so much for tuning in on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. I really appreciate it on your Tuesday. That is, this week is really getting out of here. So as always, I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. And hello to Anarchy Television. So what I want to do is really quickly, I want to kind of talk about, I don't want to give up too much here before I get into this, but I'm going to go ahead and read you. There's an article that I find it's kind of relevant when it comes to rhetoric and even speaks to some of the conspiracy theorist which I said, they're looking pretty good these days. Hello to JT Waterman. Thank you so much for tuning in. And thanks so much for everybody that's joining us right now. So I want to start with this, the irony of this. I think there's enough rhetoric, there's enough innuendo, there's enough there's enough going around, and that's why I'm calling this, that we have enough rhetoric for the tale of two chiefs here. So I'll go ahead and I'll pull that up for you right away. So hope you guys are doing well, and thank you for joining us for this segment of Real Under. All right. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. So with that said, I'm going to share with you. This is coming out of the New York Post, and I'm just slightly behind on this piece, but no less. I think it's slightly relevant to some of the rhetoric, and as I mentioned, the tale of two commander in chiefs, or the rhetoric of two commander in chiefs. So I'm sharing this screen with you, and I'll get into my hypothesis or my assertions for that, and we'll be right back. So I'm going to share the screen with you here. So according to this, what you see before you is a picture of the former President Barack Obama, and according to this, is activists protest renaming Chicago school after, quote, oppressor, end quote, Barack Obama. It's kind of sacrilegious, right? Is that it? Okay. All right. So this is coming from, I guess, a penman, at least, that goes by the name of Morgan Phillips via Fox News. And this was published, on the 31st. So some days ago, but no less, I thought it was interesting. Here we are. Here, according to this, immigration activists are objecting to renaming a Chicago school after Barack Obama. Quote, I will not be part of renaming a school after someone who did not and does not represent the undocumented community, end quote, said District 60 school member Edgar Castellanos, who says he came to the U.S. as an undocumented child, according to the ABC7 Chicago. Waukegan's Board of Education met Tuesday evening to debate renaming Thomas Jefferson Middle School and Daniel Webster Middle School after it was decided the historical figures either owned slaves or supported slavery. One of the top contenders for Thomas Jefferson Middle School's new name is that of the first, quote, Black president, Barack Obama, and former First Lady Michelle. But that name is drawing the ire of immigration activists and some in the Latino community. Activists staged a protest outside the board meeting Tuesday. Okay, quote, from the time Barack Obama became president until 2017, when he left, he today is still the highest ranking president with deportations in our nation, end quote, said Julie Contreras, who runs shelters for immigrant children at the U.S.-Mexico border. She said Obama failed to deliver on his promises on immigration. Quote, we feel that Barack Obama did disservice to us. He denied us, and he didn't stop the deportations the way he promised, end quote. Contreras continued, quote, if you're removing the name of Thomas Jefferson, one oppressor, the name Obama is another oppressor. And our families do not want to see that name, end quote, she added. Another woman, Mauricio Sanchez, said naming the school after Obama would serve as a painful reminder of her father's deportation under the Obama administration in 2015. Quote, it was something very sad, end quote. Sanchez said, quote, we couldn't even say goodbye to our dad. We just hoped for him to be able to get out, end quote. Sanchez said her father is still tied up in immigration hearings. The protest came as the Obama Presidential Library is set to break ground in September in Chicago. 3 million people were deported during Obama's 8 years in office. A Washington Post report in 2019 found that Obama deported far more in the first 3 years in office than did President Trump. The Obama administration deported 1.18 million people in 3 years, and under Trump, about 800,000 were deported in the first 3 years. Okay, so there you have that, and I find it. I think that there were a couple of things in this piece that stood out to me. For one, I want to speak to just really briefly, okay, when asking myself, okay, well, who's off right now? And it's very interesting that to me, this is almost a response. We have what I consider a crisis, I considered a manufactured crisis on the border. And it's, to me, this is almost a response, but you're kind of responding, you're not quite timely responding to the immigration issues, illegal immigration issues in this country. And it doesn't really matter which presidency it was under, which chief that it was under, it was still, you're still dealing with illegal crossings. And unfortunately, these parents are paying the price for their illegal crossings. Can I not empathize with children? No, that's not my problem. That's not, I don't struggle with that. But I do struggle with parents that don't go about this in a legal manner. And then the kids are basically picking up the pieces, trying to find a level of stability, trying to create some stability in their own lives, trying to navigate that. I do empathize with them, and I can feel for them as children, the circumstances. And as you know, even though this is New York Post, say, oh, the father's still tied up in immigration hearings. Well, I'm sure there's thousands of others. There are thousands of other people that are tied up in immigration hearings. There's thousands of others who actually went through the process and paid, the fees to be here, and not have their children stranded or in disarray or in chaos over the parents' decision to handle to seek their life, to seek an improvement or to seek an upgrade on their life. uh, yeah, or to seek the American dream in that way. um, so yeah, do I empathize with the children? Yes, but then the children are not responsible for themselves, and it is not their own fault. It is not. I don't believe that. I don't believe it's their fault, but unfortunately it's a consequence. And perhaps, these children, maybe they will see down the line that this is something that it wasn't maybe exactly the best way. I think it's fair to say that most children, we love our parents. We love our parents, but at some point in life, the child's eyes turn to much more critical eyes, and they can be less forgiving, and those eyes can be less forgiving, and we start to judge our parents. And who knows? I'm just saying, I that's what stood out to me. But I'm just thinking, why is there so much emphasis on the former president? And you actually have a Biden presidency going on right now, yet we have this response. To me, is very, it's untimely, but yet it's timely. So it's kind of a, I guess, can I call it a dichotomy? There's something going on there. um it's a tale of two ironies, or the tale of two hells, or I I don't know. I can be reproved here, and I welcome that on this live stream and podcast, whatever, however you want to spin it. But yeah, so I just find it's very interesting that something like this has come out. But it's no surprise. I This is the first time that I've heard that the Latino community, or either some of the dreamers, a population of the dreamers, are not happy with Barack Obama. But everybody was quiet as a mouse 6 months ago, 12 months ago, uh, dare I say 36 months ago, 48 months ago, 52 months ago. You didn't get this. All of these things are coming out right now, and I just think it's a perfect storm. But I don't know the end of that storm. I don't know and it doesn't seem like it's going to be good, the end of that storm, or what's to come from that. But I find that this is very ironic that we're having so many conversations about a former president. And to the conspiracy theorists that say this is a third term for the holy bo. I think that they're probably looking prophetic again. Shout out to Ronnie Mann if he's listening, if you're within the sound of my voice, or if you're out there. So yes, I do find this a bit ironic, but I don't. But nothing surprises me right now. But I've said this before. It's almost like we're living. This is the calendar rolled over 2021, but it almost seems like the news cycle. What's the responses and the reactions to everything is about 9 to 12 months. It almost seems like it's 9 to 12 months behind in terms of, I think, what dare I say, an appropriate response, or the timely responses. I think that those opportunities are already, split, out of here. But us conspiracy theorists, or those of us that tend to look for alternatives and look for less biased sources, we're already on to these things. We've already heard of these things, and we've been following these things pretty closely. So I thought that was a bit interesting. And but I don't, I'm gonna be honest, I don't anticipate that we're not going to hear more, um, more from those that weren't happy with the bo, the 8 years of the Obama presidency. I'm not, but I just find it ironic right now that it almost seems like it's in some way kind of a half response to what's going on, like the failures of, you're highlighting the failures of 3 terms ago, yet this looks like the third term of that same person in question. So I just found that, I just thought I'd share that piece with you guys. Hope you guys are doing well out there on your Tuesday, and I thank you for entertaining my hypothesis and my my assertions on these things. Yeah, so we're going to move right along to something else, but first, take a minute to break here, and I'll be right back in a minute. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Hello to Tyrants Bane TDO8. I want to read a comment. Um, Anarchy Television says, if you support governments, you support slavery. All right, fair point. Right on the dime there. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to take us on to our next story, which is going to take us to kind of take you around the globe this time. Very sad story that I'm going to be bringing to you. And we'll get into it in just a second. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And if you haven't had an opportunity to hit the like button for our AI support and dissemination of the stream, you will have an opportunity to do so during this Reel Under. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. So we're going to go ahead and take you guys to our next story. Hope you guys are doing well. Hello, it's Teacher Z. How are you? Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. So we're going to share a screen for the next story. And we're going to go to Italy. And so we have a new source here, a medical kidnap, if you will, medical kidnap. So if you're picking that up, if you can dig that name, I find that very interesting. So we're going to go with that. Oh, this is Mommy on Deck. This is my teacher channel. Nice to see you, Mommy on Deck. Thanks so much for coming in. I really appreciate the support. Nice to see you. It's been a lifetime. So I'm going to give you guys some full scale here on this one. So we're going to dip into this here. According to this is out of Medical Kidnap, Health Impact News. Okay. And according to this, Italy, two more. Okay, look like I'm doing a little bit of a lag here, just slightly. Okay, maybe not. Italy, two more teachers dead after the AstraZeneca CV jab. Okay, so it looks, you have pictures here of two more teachers. Unfortunately, you have the two teachers here pictured on your screen. So I'm going to jump right into that right now. And this is out of Sicily, Italy. Apparently, AstraZeneca changed the name of its experimental CV-19 viral vector jab to Vaxzevria to help salvage its reputation and sales. Unfortunately, the rebranding has not stopped what is quickly approaching genocide in Italy. Augusta Turacco Facebook announcement: two more Italian teachers are dead after receiving AstraZeneca viral vector shots against the CV-19. Mrs. Augusta Turacco received the first dose of the AstraZeneca jab on March 11th, according to the daily paper La Stampa. The 55-year-old Messina music teacher published a new Facebook profile photo that day, letting everyone know she was mocktailed with a V. Yeah, she looked pretty, that's a pretty picture of her, I think. All right. She's a hashtag fatto. I don't know what that means in Italian. I don't speak very much Italian, don't speak very much at all. But the situation quickly escalated. Mrs. Turacco immediately felt ill after the jab. Severe headaches persisted for days to the point that she could no longer function. She admitted to Policlinico Gaetano Martino on March 24th. Doctors diagnosed her with cerebral hemorrhage due to thrombosis. In other words, it was yet another blood clotting issue caused by the AstraZeneca jab. Mrs. Turacco was placed in a medically induced coma. Doctors performed brain surgery to try and save her, but it was too late. She was brain dead on or around March 31st. Her family released a statement encouraging other people to take the AstraZeneca shot despite their loved one's death. Cinzia Pennino dies after the AstraZeneca jab. Meanwhile, Miss Cinzia Pennino was a science professor at Don Bosco Institute in Palermo. She received her first AstraZeneca shot on or around March 17th, according to the Sicilian newspaper Giornale di Sicilia. The 46-year-old was admitted to Paolo Giacconi Polyclinic in Palermo on March 24th in critical condition. Intensive care doctors diagnosed her with, quote, extensive deep thrombosis, end quote. Yes, more blood clots. She also had a history of severe allergic reactions to mocktails. Ms. Pennino died the following morning. Palermo health authorities issued the proverbial, quote, no relation between the AstraZeneca and the woman's death, end quote, statement. Ms. Pennino did a lot of volunteer work and was described as a, quote, sunny person by colleagues. Italian slaughter continues. The foregoing deaths comes just 1 week after we reported on numerous post-mocktail, end quote, deaths in Italy. There's no way of knowing about every single death and adverse effects to these experimental jabs, but this pattern in Italy shows that AstraZeneca is committing crimes against humanity. The company, however, can hide between, quote, uninformed consent, end quote, by all people volunteering for these experimental jabs. There's simply no rational reason for anyone to take these jabs. It's all risk, with the only reward being 15 minutes of social media clout. If you don't die immediately, then you have the next few years to wonder about the long-term effects of these experimental jabs. Stay vigilant, keep spreading the truth, no matter the odds against you. Okay, so if you guys are so inclined to pick up the full article on this, you have to go to the cvblog.com. Hope you guys are doing well out there on your Tuesday. Let's see. I want to see who else is in the house. Yes. Naturally, TDOA. Of course I do. All right. I'm going to go ahead and plug this one for you. You want to grab it. All right. So we have Zero the Infinite. How are you, Zero the Infinite? Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Appreciate your time and for hanging out here with us. Okay. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I do have one more kind of bit of a nugget. We do have a reopening date coming from King Gavin Newsom around here. So I hope you guys are doing well out there. And Anarchy Television delivers a My Body, My Choice. Thank you for that. And Teacher Z says they are pushing for teachers to get the jab here in New York City. It should really be a personal choice. Teach, Teacher Z. Appreciate it. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Okay, what else do we have? Anybody else with a comment here? Because I just think it's my my collaborative duty to read your guys' comments. So even if you ever don't want your comment read on here, you can say that as well. I have not been exactly fair about that, but I figure you guys are pretty astute and you keep our chat healthy and well stimulated around here. So at any time you don't want your comments shared, I will not share it. But thank you guys so much. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the next. We're going to move on to the next one. And if you guys haven't had a chance to hit the like or the unlike button or dare to share this thing out. And thanks to Friends in Code for sharing out the stream. And if you haven't had a chance to do that, you still have time. And also, if just make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. Hey guys, it's Black Spring with Autumn here. And if you'd like to help us out with our AI and dissemination of the stream campaign, please hit that like, unlike, dare to throw caution to the wind by sharing, or just making sure that you're still subscribed to the channel. And I want to thank you for your ultimate and baseline level support here on Black Spring with Autumn. And we'll be right back right after this. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in on this segment. So what we're going to go to next, we're going to go to our story coming out of California. We've got some news for you. I don't know whether it's news for some people. I mean, I think it's a running joke, but we'll see. We'll see what you guys think. So we're going to take this. I guess we're going to take this kind of out of a Bay News area source, if you will. Give you some full screen on this one. Okay, so what we have here is Governor Gavin Newsom announces plan to fully reopen California on June 15th. And this is penned by Alex Martichoux. Just a couple of hours ago, Governor Gavin Newsom announced a plan to fully reopen California's economy on June 5th if the CV-19 trends hold. How about that? How's that for you? All right, so I'm going to scroll down just a little bit. The deets. The deets here. California will move away from its color-coded tier system that regulates closures and openings county by county. The governor said while visiting San Francisco, the whole state will enter into this phase at the same time. The details of what, quote, fully open means aren't quite clear yet. The state said, quote, everyday activities, end quote, will be allowed to resume and businesses can reopen with, quote, common sense risk reduction measures. Can you imagine what that looks like? Sounds like Groundhog's Day to me, right? What do you say? Such as wearing mask, okay? Governor Newsom said California's mask mandate wouldn't be lifted anytime soon. So don't get sloppy when you're eating out there. Quote, the disease is as deadly as ever, is as it's ever been. The only thing we've done is suppress the spread because of the number of mocktails that have been administered and because of mask wearing, Newsom said. So you have your here, the full reopening is contingent on two conditions. The state said that, quote, if the mocktail supply is sufficient for Californians 16 years and older who wish to be inoculated, in quote, if hospitalization rates are stable and low. The state didn't immediately offer more concrete numbers that would determine whether those two requirements have been met. Okay, so you still have more here. The California Department of Public Health will also continue to monitor case rates, hospitalizations, and mocktail efficacy, it says, and reserves the right to move the June 15th date if deemed necessary. California's Health and Human Services Secretary Dr. Mark Galey said Tuesday the state would look at hospitalization rates as a whole, but also focus on who is being admitted into hospital beds with the CV-19 and whether or not those patients had received the mocktail. If people who have been mocktailed start to become hospitalized with the virus, that would be of particular concern. Gailey said right now it's a race to get people mocktailed. The governor's announcement comes as California surpassed 20 million CV mocktail doses administered. 4 million of those were administered in the state's hardest hit zip codes, the state says. All right, so if you're following that, you might keep an eye on that for your education or your edification. Hello, Bet Callie. Rachel Van Seal. My gosh, yes, I am live, Rachel Van Seal. And Old School Wolf Media is here. How are you? Nice to see you. And Bet Callie Garcia is here. Oh my gosh, you are over on Twitch. Thanks so much, Rachel Van Ziel, for hanging out over there. I really appreciate it. And we're going to keep going here to our the last point we have is from our AFDLS, and that's America's Frontline Doctors. They actually had a bit of a consortium or a bit of a meeting earlier this year on mocktails, and they were pretty much shunned in 2020. I think you guys remember the doctors that were on the steps of the Capitol or near the Capitol at the time. I do remember a Dr. Stella. I'm not remembering her last name right now, but she was a part of that group, and I don't see very much of her right now. But they do have a lead specialist, and I'm going to be including that in the links here for you guys. Hope you guys are doing well out there. All right. So what I want to do, that article is actually quite lengthy. And of course, I think I'm going to just put that link in the stream for you, maybe give you an overview on that. And then we're going to close this one out in this real under. So hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, Rachel, I remember that. I remember them demonizing her for, all kinds of things, maybe religious back beliefs. I do, if I'm not mistaken, I almost want to say she was, I don't remember, was she from West Africa, or I don't remember, but yeah, they did a hit piece on her and, kind of blacklisted her. So, hopefully she will resurface sooner rather than later. We'll see. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to give you guys just a little bit on that, and then we're going to get out of here. Hope you guys are doing well on your Tuesday. So here we go. And I gave you guys this website so you guys can get the what I call the deets, get the deets on this situation. And it's actually entitled Exclusive. This is a former Pfizer VP to the AFLDS, the America's Frontline Doctors. He says, quote, entirely possible this will be used for massive scale depopulation. And that's where the conspiracy theory comes in. Okay. So I'm just going to read just a little bit of this, and then I'll put the link in the stream for you. You might want to snap this one before the powers that be. They scoop it up. Okay, so according to this, the American Frontline Doctors, the AFLDS, spoke to the former Pfizer Vice President and Chief Science Officer, Dr. Mike Yeadon, about his views on the CV19 mocktail, hydroxychloroquine, and ivermectin, the regulatory authorities, and more. At the outset, Dr. Yeadon said, quote, "I'm well aware of the global crimes against humanity being perpetrated against a large proportion of the world's population. Quote, I feel great fear, but I'm not deterred from giving expert testimony to multiple groups of able lawyers like Rocco Galati in Canada and Rainer Fulmich in Germany. Quote, I have absolutely no doubt that we are in the presence of evil, not a determination I've ever made before in a 40-year research career and dangerous products. Quote, in the UK, it's abundantly clear that the authorities are bent on a course which will result in administering mocktails to as many of the population as they can. This is madness because even if these agents were legitimate, protection is needed only by those at notably elevated risk of death from the virus. In those people, there might even be an argument that risks are worth bearing. And there definitely are risks which are what I call mechanistic, inbuilt in the way they work. Quote, but all the other people, those in good health and younger than 60 years, perhaps a little older, they don't perish from the virus. In this large group, it's wholly unethical to administer something novel and for which the potential for unwanted effects after a few months is completely uncharacterized. In no other era would it be wise to do what is stated as the intention. Quote, since I know this with certainty, I know those driving it know this too. We have to inquire, what is their motive? So here is where he goes on to talk about, and what he says, quote, I don't know. Well, I don't know. I have strong theoretical answers, only one of which relates to money, and that motive doesn't work because the same quantum can be arrived at by doubling the unit cost and giving the agent to half as many people. Dilemma solved. So it's something else. Appreciating that by entire population, it is intended that minor children and eventually babies are included in the net. And that's what I interpret to be an evil act. So with this last little nugget here, I will put this in the stream for you guys to, you can mow on this at your leisure. Quote, there is no medical rationale for it. Knowing as I do the design of these mocktail results, in the expression in the bodies of recipients, expression of the spike protein, which has adverse biological effects of its own, which in some people are harmful, initiating blood coagulation and activating the immune complement system. I'm determined to point out that those not at risk from this virus should not be exposed to the risk of unwanted effects from these agents. So I'm going to put this out here for you guys because it's kind of loaded, and of course, we'll see what happens. So there you are. To be honest, I haven't dug a lot into the articles or so much on the AFLS, LDS, but I did get, I think I got some firsthand accounts on the meeting that they had in Atlanta earlier this year on the mocktails, and that was more than interesting. It's just that there's a lot. I think these doctors are putting their own credentials on the line, and even many of them, it's almost incriminating for what they're doing. So there you go. You have that. Let's see, and it's Awesome Alice is here. Hi, Awesome Alice. Thank you guys so much for coming in. And Rachel Van Zyl, if you are over on Twitch, thank you so much. And what else do we have? I'm going to read this comment, and then I'm going to get us out of here. Okay, we have from Beck Callie Garcia. She says, I think she was from Nigeria when the CV19 started around April. I casually shared with my friends that I was questioning the whole CV19. They were aggressive and mean. I haven't spoken to them since. All right, and Zero the Infinite's here. So I just want to say hi to everyone in the stream and thank you guys so much for coming in this under in the real under. So we're real under 60 right now. All right, thank you, Anarchy Television, JT Waterman, Miss JT Waterman. Thank you so much for coming in. Tyrant Spain, TDOA, thank you for all that you do to support the channel. Teacher Z, Mommy on Deck, thank you so much for coming in. And of course, Zero the Infinite, thank you so much for coming in. And Old School Wolf Media, thank you so much for coming in. And Rachel Van Ziel, of course, thank you for being over on Twitch. And Bet Callie Garcia, nice to have you around. Ah, Rachel said you shared to Facebook. Thank you very much for that. Awesome Alice says, well, I call Congress about the mocktail passport and would the people be excluded? They said they have to circle back with me. And she says excluded for allergies, I mean. Good work. Good work, Awesome Alice. You absolutely that's an action project. I don't charge you guys with those. I don't issue those challenges around here. Maybe I should. I got quite a few action projects that I could issue around here. There's a whole list of them. I mean, I could give you guys some templates and everything. It's already pre-populated. You just send them to your favorite senators, if you will, or Congress people. Okay, so, oh my gosh, Johnny Roberts is here. He's a Periscope converter here. Hi, Periscope converter. That sounds like a great t-shirt. Let me find some kind of mechanical something to put on the front of that. Converters over here. They're silent converters. Derek C. Williams speaks highly of you, so I had to come and check me. Yeah, Derek's fantastic, around here. He always supports the channel, and it's almost been a year. So yeah, it's a YouTube, I don't know, dare I say YouTube anniversary around here. Thank you so much for your support, Mommy on Deck. I've heard your name many times over on TR show, and it's nice to finally meet you and have you here. So welcome in. Awesome Alice says, check out the school meeting where the parents snapped about the critical race theory the other day. I don't know. I'll look it up for sure, or you guys can send it to me. All right, guys. As always, I want to thank you guys for tuning in, listening from wherever you are. If you're out of Texas, thank you so much for the traction that we've gotten over in Texas. I really appreciate that. And I'm going to be saying so long and thank you guys so much. One infomercial, and then we're out. And just 1 second here. Rachel Van Ziel says, or should I say Periscope converter? Thank you, Rachel, for all you do around here. I really appreciate it. And thanks for sharing. And Austin Ellis says, I went to the beach and people were swimming with medical mask on. Stop. If you got pictures of that, yeah, send that my way. You can't make this stuff up. And what is it? Officer Tatum was talking about it. Check him out. Oh yeah, without a doubt. Oh yeah, I can't without, I can't. All right, guys. Well, I really appreciate you guys for all the support. And this is on the brief of a real under, but I appreciate you guys so much. And I'll see you guys on the next live stream in the comment section on a video Moonlight stream, or sometimes I call a test. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good rest of your Tuesday.